Economic Analysis of the Philippines in 2020. Introduction. All in all, 2020 was a year of massive economic suffering, as well as facing its worst health crisis in decades. The Philippines suffered its worst economic crisis since World War II. Although the pandemic left long, deep scars on Filipino economic lives, it is also an opportunity to transform our economy for the better. Population. The Philippines is expected to record a slower population growth rate of 1.31% by the end of 2021. The government is noting that Filipino is opting for smaller families may be causing the decline, but the experts said that the impact of the coronavirus pandemic may slightly alter demographic trends. As of 2020, the population was 109,580,881.78. 1.35% increase from 2019. The population of 2019 was 100,808,116,615, a 1.37% increase from 2018. According to the Philippines Statistics Authority, the number of live births registered was 1,403,336,000. As of 2020, male live births were 731,605, while remaining was 671,731 for females. The birth rates of the Philippines in 2020 is 20.177 birth per 1,000 people, a 0.98 decline in 2019. Distribution of population. Age 6. At the age of 0.0 to 14 years old, the total of population is 32.42%, and there were 18,060,976 male, while 17,331,781 female. 15 to 24 years old is at 19.16%. There are 10,680,325 male, while female are 10,243,047 female. 25 to 54 years old is at 37.37%, and the male are there are 20,777,741 male, while 20,027,153 female. From 55 to 64 years old is at 6.15%, and there are 3,116,485 male, while 3,633,301 female. From 65 and above years old is at 4.86%, with 2,155,840 male, while 3,154,166 female. Urbanization has the total of 47.4% population with an annual rate of change of 1.99%. Almost 2 out of every 5 Filipinos will be residing in Central Luzon, Metro Manila, and Calabarzon by the start of the new decade. The migration rate Philippines in 2020 was 0.618 per 1,000 population, a 1.28% decline from 2019. The migration rate for Philippines in 2019 was negative 0.62, 626 per 1,000 population. Ethnic groups. Tagalog population has 24.4%, Bisaya has 11.4%, Cebuano has 9.9%, Ilocano has 8.8%, Ilonggo has 8.4%, Bicolano has 6.8%, Waray has 4%, and other local and foreign ethnicity has 27.1%. Philippines' gross national product was reported at 111.241 US dollar, converted to Philippine pesos 5,330.45 centavos. Rate of growth. Gross domestic product has a growth rate of negative 0.83% in the fourth quarter of 2020, resulting in negative 0.5% full-year growth rate for 2020. Personal income per capita. Dollar personal income decreased $339.7 billion in the fourth quarter, compared with a decrease of $541.5 billion in the third quarter. Average family income. For the present data collected by the Family Income and Expenditure Survey, Filipino families' income earned 313,000 pesos on average. In comparison, their expenditure for the year 2018 was 200,039 pesos on average. Distribution of wealth. Income class. The Philippines Institute for Development Studies on Thursday showed income class brackets in the country, which government uses to categorize families into social class. As of 2018, the PIDS identified social classes according to the following income brackets. Poor below has 10,957 pesos monthly income. Low income but not poor has 10,957 pesos to 21,914 pesos monthly income. Lower middle has monthly income of 21,914 pesos to 43,828 pesos. Middle has monthly income of 76,660 pesos, while upper middle but not rich has 131,483 pesos to 219,140 pesos monthly income, while rich has monthly income of 219,140 and above monthly income. The latest Family Income and Expenditure Survey by the Philippine Statistics Authority shows that majority of 58.4% of Filipinos belong to low-income class, while middle class comprises around 40% of population. Only 1.4% fall in the high-income class. Income distribution in the Philippines is highly uneven, and poverty rates are higher than in other ASEAN countries. In addition, although the poverty rate has declined over time, the rate of decline has been lower than in other countries, and income inequality has been persistent. Minerals and resources. Income and distribution. The launching of a mining project spurs local and regional economic development as mining firms invest in road infrastructure, utilities, and other facilities with the mine site. Mining likewise contributes to the country's foreign exchange earnings through exports. Surface transportation. Modes. Modes of transportation is divided into two, the public and the private mode. In public mode, these are the train, jeep, bus, tricycle, SUV, HOV, and pedicab. In private mode, these are the car, truck, taxi, and others. Availability. While mobility challenges have long existed in the country, for Metro Manila in particular, the coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic has made the situation even worse for the matters. Usage rates. Through the limited availability of transportation because of COVID-19 virus, 50 out of 100% were only used in the transportations. The Philippines is under archipelagic nation teeming with ports that makes it possible for her to conduct both regional and international trade. Her ports total 429 in number, including international gateways to the Pacific trade routes and inter-island ports that make it possible for locals to move from one island to another comfortably. Communication system types. Philippines has a telecommunication system which covers the multi-service network system, telephone system, wireless LAN system, radio system, recording system, CCTV system, and video transmitting system. Availability. In the Philippines, the first case of COVID-19 was recorded on 30th of January 2020. After this confirmation, local citizens, especially in the National Capital Region, started buying face masks and alcohol for their protections. With the availability of the internet and social media and the ability of the public to create and distribute information, the government must learn how to respond away, clearly and responsibly. Usage rate. Perhaps an even better gauge of this increased usage is the statistics from local providers on data consumption. According to Global Telecom, for the first 9 months of 2020, mobile data traffic jumped from 1,200 petabytes in the first 9 months of 2019 to 1,762 petabytes these periods. That's a 47% growth in mobile data usage year on year. Working conditions. Employer-employee relations. The agreement binding both the employer and the employee is known as an employment contract. However, the absence of an employment contract does not indicate an absence of an employer-employee relationship. If the employer-employee relationship can be established, the employer may not terminate the service of the employee without just or outright. Employee participation. Under the Labor Code, the employees also have the right to have humane conditions of work. In this case, the management should see to it that the working conditions of employees must be humane and just. This right includes the right to equal pay for equal work, and through the Department of Labor and Employment, the government of the Philippines has set the standards for minimum wage, working hours, holiday pay, overtime, night differential, service incentive leave, service charge, separation pay, 13-month pay, maternity benefits, paternity benefits, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig. Salaries and benefits. Payroll, salary compensations, and benefits in the Philippines as provided under the Labor Code of the Philippines and other relevant laws. At least the minimum wage per region and or sector, holiday wage, and overtime pay for work during holidays or rest days. Principal industries. Proportion of GNP each industry contributes. Agriculture, forestry, and fishing dropped yet again in the first quarter of 2021 by negative 1.2%. The decline of the AFF was attributed to the contraction of the following sub-industries: livestock by negative 23.2%, poultry and egg production by negative 7.4%, other agricultural crops by negative 4.1%, sugar cane including muscovado sugar making in the farm by negative 4.5%. Ratio of private to public owned industries. The Philippines economy is forecast to contract by 7.3% in 2020 amid the coronavirus disease pandemic before growth returns to 6.5% in 2021, according to a new report from the ASEAN Development Bank. Projects a deeper decline in the Philippines economy than ADB's June forecast of 3.8% contraction, with subdued private consumption and investment expected for the rest of the year and uncertainties about the global economic recovery. Foreign investment opportunities. The government launched the 2020 Investment Priorities Plan, which include qualified activities relating to the COVID-19 pandemic response and aims to modernize the Philippine economy, generate several jobs across the country, help solve societal issues on employment, housing, transportation, and safe and secure travel. Industries. Top industries to invest in year 2020 are the real estate industry, construction industry, manufacturing industry, e-commerce industry, tourism industry, retail industry, energy industry, and agricultural industry. International trade statistics. Major exports. Located in the Western Pacific Ocean, the Southeast Asian nation called the Republic of the Philippines shipped 63.9 billion US dollar worth of goods around the globe in 2020. That dollar amount reflects a 13.4% increase since 2016 but a negative 9.2% slowdown from 2019 to 2020. Trends. The current trend of modest gains in export coupled with weaknesses in imports will likely continue for at least the first half of the year, with the recent spike in COVID-19 cases likely to sap momentum from the recent pickup in global trade, leading to softer export growth. Meanwhile, domestic activity in the coming quarters will likely remain subdued, with the economy expected to remain in recession until second quarter of 2021. Major imports. The Republic of the Philippines imported 112.9 billion US dollar worth of goods from around the globe in 2020. COVID-19 has had an immediate and strong impact on international trade. The first sign of the trade downturn will already evident in January. Trade trends for the third quarter, although still negative on a year-over-year basis, are significantly better than during the second quarter. Balance of payment situation. The Philippines balance of payments posted a $4.23 billion surplus in December, raising the full 2020 figure to a new all-time high. Recent trends. The Philippines economy earned more dollars than it spent in the first 4 months of the year, a trend that will likely continue for the rest of 2020 due to the pandemic-induced reduction in the country's total import bill. Exchange rate. Analyzing exchange rate trends for the main currencies against the dollar during 2020, you can spot some elements of surprise. In fact, if the currency that has shown the greatest appreciation against the greenback since early 2020. Philippines exchange rate against US dollar averaged 48.462 US dollar in April 2021 compared with 48.574 US dollar in the previous month. Philippines exchange rate against US dollar data is updated monthly, available from January 1945 to April 2021. In November, the Philippines peso weakened against the US dollar, continuing a trend that began in early August. On 11 November, the currency traded at 48.96 peso per US dollar, the weakest value since 29 of April 2009. This was 0.4% weaker than on the same day of the previous month and 4% weaker on annual basis. Trade restrictions, embargoes. Philippine law restricts the importation of certain goods for reasons of national security, environmental and public health protection, and order or morality, in addition to complying with international treaties and obligations. Quotas. The implementing rules and regulations of RA number 11 2003 as contained in Joint Memorandum Circular. Out quota tariffs are at 180% equivalent based on the WTO agreement on agriculture upon the expiration of the waiver of the special treatment for rice. At present, a few TRQ products have achieved unified in-quota and out-of-quota tariff rates. Import taxes. All imported articles invite import taxes, even those having been previously exported. The entry form must be filled in at the customs office in the 30 days following the unloading of the last package, failing to do which amounts to abandonment of the goods and ipso facto confiscation of the cargo. Tariffs. The Philippines maintain a two-tiered tariff policy for sensitive agricultural including rice, corn, pork, chicken meat, sugar, and coffee. Licensing. Sanitary and phytosanitary import clearances that serve as import licenses are required prior to the importation of all agricultural commodities, including feeds, live animals, meat and poultry products, plant and plant products, seafood and fishery items. Extent of economic activity not included in cash income activities. Counter trades. Products generally offered for counter trading. The following export products group categorize the highest dollar value in Filipino global shipments during 2020. Also shown is the percentage share each export category represents in terms of overall exports from the Philippines. Types of counter trades requested. Such transactions are evidence that counter trade is playing an important role in international business. Counter trade transactions differ as to the time needed to complete them, the type of goods exchanged, and the financial arrangements. The most common forms of counter trade are barter arrangements, compensation or buyback arrangements, counter purchase transactions, industrial offset. Foreign aid received. After providing assistance in the earlier phases of the coronavirus crisis, the Philippines received aid from several countries and territories, including the United States, Singapore, Taiwan, China, and Japan. Aid was given either in cash or in kind, such as personal protective equipment or health workers, face masks, and other medical supplies. Labor force size. Philippine labor force participation rate increased to 60.5% in January 2021, compared with 58.7% in the previous quarter. Philippines labor force participation rate is updated quarterly, available from July 2003 to January 2021. Unemployment rates. Unemployment rate in July 2020 was estimated at 10%. This is higher than the unemployment rate of the same month a year ago, placed at 5.4%. Inflation rates. The country's headline inflation accelerated to 2.5% in October 2020, from 2.3% in September 2020. In October 2019, inflation was posted at 0.8%. Development in science and technology. Current technology available. The Department of Science and Technology has unveiled its plans to boost efforts in putting DOST developed products and technologies into the market in 2020. These are the robotics from physical rehabilitation, a breath of relief, boosting coconut production, a multi-hull boat for sailing to new ventures, and agricultural through engine manufacturing. Percentage of GNP invested in research and development from 2.488 billion pesos for R&D and institutes under the 2020 General Appropriations Act. The approved funding for the agency's sector was reduced to 2.411 billion pesos for 2021. Technological skills of the labor force and general population. The latest estimates available show that 10.4 million people were working informally, and in 2014, 38.6% of workers were in vulnerable form of employment. Skills represent a key driver of development and growth in the Philippines. Educational attainment of the Filipino population has steadily increased in recent decades, but while the country is regionally successful, it has yet to reach the standards of more developed countries. Channels of distributions. Retailers. Number of retailers. In the third quarter of 2020, Pure Gold held the highest value share of 4.3% in FMCG retail business. SM retail stores followed with the 3.3% of value share in the FMCG retail businesses. Typical size of retail outlets. The retail sector in the Philippines has been facing challenging times in the study period, which got worse due to the sudden COVID-19 pandemic. The majority of forms of physical retail including supermarkets and convenience stores. Customary markup for various classes of goods. Even though there is no hard and fast rule for pricing merchandise, most retailers use a 50% markup, known in the trade as keystones. What this means in plain language is doubling your cost to establish the retail price, because markup is figured as a percentage of sales price. Doubling the cost means a 50% markup. Methods of operation. Retailers need to stop expecting business to return to normal. There's no going back to how it was anytime soon, even before the COVID-19 pandemic and economic crisis. Brick-and-mortar retailers have been fighting a fierce battle against Amazon and other e-commerce players. Scale of operation. A primary reason why retailers grow in size is to benefit from economies of scale in operations. This feature is particularly prevalent in the metropolis with the rise of superstores. Bigness in size is referred not only to physical space but to product space as well. Role of chain stores. department stores, and specialty shops. Department stores provide all necessary facilities to ease shopping experiences of their valued and customers. These include restrooms, parking, valet, and others. Some people criticize chain stores for promoting a generic nationwide homogenization of the culture by making so many stores the same. Others feel chain stores contribute to suburban sprawl. Some consumers enjoy the increased variety and reduced uncertainty provided by chain stores. Wholesale middlemen, number and size. The average wholesale price of live hogs in Metro Manila went up by 0.77%. Annual average retail price in Metro Manila increased by 0.83% from the record set the previous year. Customary markup for various classes of goods. Distributor markup is when distributors raise the selling price of the products in order to cover their own costs and make a profit. Method of operations. Selling wholesale can not only help you grow your cash flow, you'll also enable other your brand or streamlining operations instead of finding customers and worrying about sales. Import or export agent. These are the IS Banal Customs Brokerage, Impex Cargo Services, Asia Cargo Container Lines Incorporated, Association of Training Institutions for Foreign Trade in Asia and the Pacific, CG International Freight Services Incorporated, Glenson Corporation, Hi-S World Traders Incorporation, High-Top Merchandising Incorporation, and PAMCO PMI International Incorporation. Warehousing. Warehousing in the Philippines handles complex businesses with the local and international distribution. Separating their goods from storage into different batches costs a large number of resources such as manpower. Penetration of urban and rural markets. Urban penetration is 83% and rural penetration is 37%. 1.13 billion people living in rural regions are covered by GSM but not connected to mobile services. Media. Availability of media. The Philippines media has evolved throughout the years. The strong online presence of Filipinos has affected traditional form of media, like television, radio, newspapers, and magazines. There were more people getting news and entertainment online over the past years that had changed and affected the overall media market in the Philippines. Cost. Television. The market size of TV advertising in the Philippines was valued at $573.1 million US. TV advertising accounted for about 64.5% of the total advertising market in the same year. Radio. The market size of radio advertising in the Philippines was valued at $67.4 million US. Radio advertising accounted for about 7.6% of the total advertising market in the same year. Print. The price of a printer in the Philippines ranges from 3,500 pesos to 19,000 pesos. Printers are available on leading online retailers like Shopee and Lazada. Internet. The average cost of broadband in the Philippines per month was at $53.71 US, lower than the global average cost of $78.14. Agency assistance. These are the media agency assistants. Mindshare Philippines, Wavemaker Philippines, Denso Philippines, Act Media Philippines, Group M Philippines. Coverage of various media. The coverage of various media is all about news, advertisement, drama, movie, broadcasting, and entertainment. Percentage of population reached by medium. The social media penetration in the Philippines was at 49% in 2017 and increased to 53% in the year 2020, amounting to about 54 million people using a social network.